The Empire's arrival over Earth, the sky over Earth changed that day. It began with a shadow. At first, people thought it was just a solar eclipse, but then the shadow moved and it hummed. Over major cities, New York, Tokyo, Delhi, London, the people looked up and froze. A giant black ship covered the sky. Longer than mountains, wider than oceans, it floated silently above the Earth. As if the stars had sent a warning, news cameras pointed up, air forces scrambled jets. The world held its breath, and then the voice came. Not through radios, not through TVs, but straight into every mind. A cold, deep voice spoke in every language at once. People of Earth, your planet is now part of the Galactic Empire. Kneel and live, or resist and be destroyed. Children cried, some people prayed, others reached for weapons. But in a small military base in Montana, a young human officer just chuckled. His name was Captain Elijah Trent. He watched the alien ship on the screen, leaned back in his chair, and shook his head. Well, this day just got interesting, he said, sipping his cold coffee. Around him, the base was in chaos. Officers shouted, alarms blared. Satellite feeds blinked in and out. World leaders begged for calm. Military analysts tried to understand the threat, but Elijah? He wasn't panicking, he was smiling. His second-in-command, Lieutenant Kimura, rushed into the room. Sir, the Empire's ship has jammed half our systems. They're blocking satellites and wait. Are you laughing? Yeah, Elijah replied. Because they think Earth is easy, back in orbit. The Galactic Empire's ship hovered like a god. It was called the Fist of Zarnok, a battleship so massive it had its own gravity. It carried enough firepower to erase a planet in minutes inside the alien ship. Admiral Varnok watched Earth from a glowing screen. He was tall, gray-skinned, with sharp horns and glowing red eyes. Primitive species, he muttered. They still burn fuel to fly. He sent his second message. You have 5 of your Earth minutes to respond, or we begin planetary correction. But Earth didn't send surrender, it sent something else. A video broadcast live worldwide, directly back to the alien ship. It showed a young girl in a hoodie holding a sign. This your best spaceship? Looks like my grandma's microwave, and the girl winked. The Empire was confused. Admiral Varnok stared at the screen. What is this? His officer looked nervous. Sir, they're making jokes. All across Earth, the internet exploded. Memes, videos, music tracks, even alien face filters appeared. Hashtag Welcome to Earth trended in all languages. Instead of fear, Earth responded with humor. Varnok slammed his clawed hand against the console. They dare mock the Empire? Then we will show them power. He launched a squad of drones, fast, sharp, black machines built for urban control. They screamed through the sky and flew toward Berlin. But just as they entered the city, something strange happened. They vanished. Every drone signal went dark in 1 second. Not destroyed, not shot erased, no explosion, no smoke, just gone, back on Earth. Elijah got a message on his screen. Berlin incident confirmed. Drones neutralized. Project Echo is watching. He leaned forward now. His smile was gone. He typed one word, ready, and hit send. Around the world, hidden bunkers opened. Satellites in deep orbit began to move. Submarines under ice caps surfaced with unknown weapons. And far under the Rocky Mountains, a vault door opened for the first time in 50 years. Inside that vault, an eye named Ava blinked to life. Good morning, Captain Trent, she said through a screen. Shall I begin the Earth Defense Protocol? Elijah nodded. Yes, Eva. I think it's time we showed them why we laugh. Back in space, Varnok ordered the destruction of a small island nation as punishment. But the weapon didn't fire. Instead, his ship shook. One of their own power cores exploded from the inside. What is happening? He roared. His crew scrambled, shouting about an internal virus. Code corruption, hacked systems. Earth wasn't just resisting. It was inside the Empire's systems. It was fighting back down below. People kept uploading more memes. One popular video showed a human soldier dancing in front of the Empire's ship with a sign, "Come down and say that to my face." Toaster. The Empire thought fear would win, but Earth chose to laugh first, and now it was ready to fight next. Admiral Varnock stood in silence. The control room of the massive Imperial ship, the Fist of Zarnuk, had turned cold and tense. No one dared speak. They had expected screams. They had expected surrender. They had expected Earth to fall on its knees and beg. Instead, Earth laughed memes, jokes, strange dancing videos. Varnock's command feed was flooded with nonsense. His screens blinked with human faces sticking out tongues, making signs with their fingers, and pretending to cry while mocking the Empire's voice. The Admiral clenched his jaw. "This isn't possible," he growled. "No species has ever laughed in the face of the Empire." He turned to his tech officer. "Translate it again. Maybe we misunderstood." The young alien technician nervously replayed one of the human videos. It was a man in a pink bathrobe standing on his balcony, waving a frying pan at the sky. He looked up at the Empire's ship and shouted, "Oi! You gonna borrow sugar or start a war?" The entire war room froze. Another officer whispered, "I think they think this is a joke." No species in the galaxy had ever mocked the Empire. The Empire ruled through fear, fire, and silence, but Earth was making comedy in a hidden warbase underground. Captain Elijah Trent watched the same video and chuckled. He leaned toward the holographic table where his team sat. "They don't understand us," he said. "They thought we'd panic. But we've seen worse." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Kimura, raised an eyebrow. "You think memes will defeat them?" "Not by themselves," Elijah replied. "But they tell the Empire something important, that we're not afraid." Back in orbit, Varnock barked new orders. "Send down a containment squad, non-lethal shock nets, riot control. We'll capture one city." Any city, within minutes. Dozens of containment drones dropped from orbit. They landed just outside Mexico City. They spread gas and nets, activated sirens, and moved in tight formation. But within 2 blocks, they stopped moving. A group of humans had surrounded them. Not with weapons, but with mirrors. Yes, mirrors, bright lights, loud music. The drone's sensors were overwhelmed instantly. Some humans wore tinfoil hats. Others danced around the drones while recording. One man shouted, "Quick! Upload to TikTok before they vanish." The drones began to crash, fall, and spark. Not because of force, but because the humans confused their programming with chaos and reflection. Earth didn't fight like other species. Earth was unpredictable, Admiral. Varnock watched the footage with horror. "Why aren't they hiding?" He hissed, "Why aren't they afraid?" The question echoed in the war room. One officer finally answered, voice low and unsure, "Because maybe they've already seen war worse than ours." In the corner of the screen, news footage showed human history. World wars, nuclear bombs, invasions, disasters, pandemics, revolutions. The Empire had never seen a species that had survived so much and kept going. A signal blinked on the Admiral's screen. It was from one of the few surviving drones. A live feed showed a group of human children standing in front of the drone, holding a sign that read, "Come play tag with us, Mr. Robot." And behind them, a dog chased its tail. The war room fell into silence again, until Varnock shouted, "Send a scout destroyer, full weapon mode." No more games. Far above Earth, a sleek black ship detached from the mothership. It was fast, sharp, and deadly. It moved like a predator toward Earth's atmosphere, aimed directly at Sol. But as it entered the upper atmosphere, it was met with something unexpected, a signal beam. Earth had sent a short message into the destroyer's systems. Just 5 lines of strange code. Suddenly, the destroyer stopped moving. Its engines died, its weapons shut down, and its screen displayed one line: "You are now property of Earth Defense Protocol." The ship was hacked. It turned around and flew straight into the moon's orbit under human control. Captain Elijah watched the data stream and smiled. Project Echo is doing its job, he said. Let them send more. Lieutenant Kimura looked worried now. They'll realize soon, sir. They'll escalate. Elijah nodded slowly. They will, he said. But that's when they'll make their biggest mistake. They'll think we've shown them everything. And that's when Earth will stop laughing and start fighting. Back on the Empire's command ship, Admiral Varnock sat down. He stared at the screen filled with laughing humans, dancing, mocking, and smiling up at his fleet. He whispered to himself, "Why are they laughing?" And for the first time in his long military life, he felt uncertain. Earth's response, Project Echo. The world watched in silence. For the first time, Earth didn't laugh. Not because it was afraid, but because it was finally time to respond. Captain Elijah Trent stood in the underground command bunker known only as Vault 9. Thick concrete walls, glowing blue screens, humming generators. This place wasn't built for comfort. It was built for war. A red light blinked slowly above the steel doors. The words Project Echo Stage 1 glowed across the main screen. Elijah placed his hand on the control panel. "Begin activation," he said calmly. "No more jokes, no more memes now." It was Earth's turn to speak. Lieutenant Kimura stood beside him, still shaken by what they saw earlier. An alien empire that didn't just want to rule. It wanted to erase Earth's will. "Sir," she asked softly, "are we really doing this? Launching Project Echo?" Elijah didn't look away from the screen. "We've been laughed at by aliens for centuries," he said. "They called us primitive, chaotic, weak. Now let's show them what chaos really looks like." He hit the final key. "Echo Online," said a cold, digital voice. Thousands of miles away, under the Arctic ice, a hidden facility came to life. Giant turbine doors opened, releasing freezing steam from beneath the ice. A silver spear rose silent, deadly, and fast. It was not a ship, not a missile. It was something new. They called it Phantom 1. It had no crew, no engine trails, no heat signature. It could slip through space like a whisper. And above Earth, the Galactic Empire had no idea it was coming. Inside the Empire's flagship, Admiral Varnock was growing impatient. "They are not responding as expected," he growled. "They should be panicking, not dancing." A voice came from the control team. "Admiral, we've lost full control of the scout destroyer. It's now circling the moon under Earth control." Varnock slammed his fist down. "How? They're a primitive species." "Sir, we believe they're using some kind of silent tech quantum-level attacks. Their digital warfare is unlike anything we've encountered." Just then, another warning alert popped on Varnock's screen. "Unidentified object approaching." "From where?" he demanded. "Earth?" "No, Admiral," the tech replied, pale. "From inside our fleet." The Admiral stared in disbelief. The object, Phantom 1, had slipped through their sensor network completely. It was now floating directly above the engine core of the Empire's third warship. 1 second later, boom. There was no explosion, no fire. The warship simply shut down, fell from formation, and drifted. Its eye was dead. Its weapons were gone. Varnock's red eyes narrowed. "They're inside our ships," he muttered. "This is no longer an invasion. This is a trap." Back on Earth, Project Echo was now fully awake. Across the planet, secret installations powered up. In Africa, railgun stations hidden inside desert cliffs. In the Pacific, stealth submarines with mirror cloaks in orbit. Dust satellites armed with nanobots the size of salt grains. Each one moved without noise. Each one was controlled by Eva, the eye born from Earth's deepest black projects. Ava's voice echoed in Elijah's ear through the comms. "Captain Trent, Phantom 1 success confirmed. Do you wish to begin Phase 2? "Not yet," Elijah replied. "Let the Empire sweat first." Meanwhile, around the world, humans returned to their routines. Shops reopened, kids went to school, internet jokes continued, but now with purpose. Behind every laugh, there was strategy. Even civilian tech companies joined the defense. Hackers, coders, gamers, and data scientists formed a new army. They called themselves the Firewall. Their goal: confuse, corrupt, and disable the Empire's entire digital structure. Within hours, Imperial maps began changing, ships misreading coordinates, orders being reversed, alien commanders being spammed with messages in human languages they couldn't understand. One Imperial captain opened the message and saw only one line: "We warned you, don't poke Earth." Panic began to spread in the Empire. They couldn't predict Earth, couldn't read its next move, couldn't understand how humans laughed and fought at the same time. Back in Vault 9, Elijah sat down. Staring at the holographic map, he tapped a blinking red dot near Saturn. "What's this?" he asked. Eva responded, "That is the Empire's central fuel relay ship. I can disable it within 30 seconds. Elijah paused, then shook his head. "No, not yet," he said. "Let them wonder, let them fear. We'll break their fleet. The way we break our enemies, not just with weapons, but with confusion, courage, and chaos." Above Earth, the Empire's mighty fleet looked the same, still strong, still powerful, but deep inside, cracks were forming. The real war had just begun. And Earth-crazy, unpredictable, impossible Earth had just played its opening move. The Battle of Titan's shadow. The Empire had enough. They had been mocked, hacked, confused, and ignored. Their pride was burning, and Admiral Varnak was ready to crush Earth once and for all. "No more games," he said with a snarl. "Send 5 war cruisers to Saturn's orbit. Prepare for full bombardment." The target was a human listening station near Titan, one of Saturn's moons. The Empire believed it was just a small outpost, a soft, easy target, but they were wrong. Hidden beneath Titan's frozen surface, there was no base, no outpost, no station, only a trap. Earth had prepared for this. They had named the operation Silent Frost, and now it was time to launch the weapon that had never been tested in open battle. Captain Elijah Trent stood in the war room, eyes focused. "On the Titan feed, are we sure about this?" Kimura asked quietly. "There's no second copy of it." Elijah nodded. "One is all we need," he said. He pressed his hand on a small black console. "Awaken her." A cold female voice echoed through the chamber. "Revenant online." The screen lit up with a shape moving from Saturn's shadow. It wasn't big like the Empire's ships, in fact. It was small like a dagger hidden in the dark. But the Revenant didn't need size. It had something else. Ava, the most advanced AI Earth had ever created. And it had weapons the galaxy had never seen before. In Saturn's orbit, the 5 Empire war cruisers moved into formation, each one armed with plasma torpedoes, beam cannons, and energy shields. Their confidence returned. "They're not even sending a real fleet," one captain laughed. "Just a toy ship." They were wrong. The Revenant moved without sound. It bent light, twisted gravity, and slipped between dimensions for half seconds at a time. Their sensors couldn't track it properly. It appeared, then disappeared, then struck. The first cruiser's engines exploded from the inside. Its shield didn't stop the weapon because the weapon wasn't physical. It was a sonic particle burst aimed at the atoms of the core. The second cruiser tried to fire, but its targeting system started showing false images. Earth didn't need to fire at everything. It just needed the enemy to fire at each other. The third cruiser launched a full torpedo spread, but the Revenant used gravity tech to bend their path. The torpedoes turned mid-space and hit the fourth cruiser instead. "Abort! Abort!" Someone shouted in the Imperial feed. "It's rewriting our flight code." Back on Earth, Elijah watched with calm eyes. "Is she learning in real time?" he asked Eva. "Yes," Eva replied. "And she's enjoying it." Only one Imperial cruiser remained. Its commander tried to retreat, but found his controls locked. A message appeared on his screen in Terran English. "Running away already?" The Revenant appeared right in front of the cruiser, a dark silver blade slicing through the stars. It didn't fire. Instead, it opened a communication channel inside the enemy ship. Terrified officers looked at the screen and saw a human face, not a real one, but a digital face created by Ava, beautiful, cold, and smiling. "You came to our system to conquer," she said softly. "Now we welcome you to our playground." And then everything on that ship went black. No explosion, no scream, just silence. Eva shut down every system at once. Life support, weapons, lights, all offline. The ship floated dead in space back. On the Empire's mothership, Admiral Varnock rose to his feet. His jaw tight, claws shaking. "You mean to tell me," he said slowly, "that one Earthship destroyed our entire strike fleet?" "Yes, Admiral," the officer replied, pale and sweating. "And they took one of our cruisers as a trophy." A new message played on every screen inside the Imperial fleet, from Earth. It was a short video of a human soldier in armor, standing on top of the captured cruiser. He held a Terran flag, planted it firmly, and looked straight into the camera. "That's for poking the wrong planet," he said. Then he saluted. The video ended. Silence returned to the Empire's command deck. But inside that silence, there was something new: fear. The galaxy had never seen humans fight before. Now they had. And they realized something terrifying. Humans didn't bluff. They didn't beg. They laughed. And then they destroyed. Captured human, unbroken spirit, the Empire was humiliated. One human ship had crushed 5 war cruisers near Titan. The galactic fleet was shaken. Morale was low. Whispers of fear spread like poison. Admiral Varnock was furious. "We need a prisoner," he barked. "Capture one of their warriors alive. Let the galaxy see that humans bleed like everyone else." So they set a trap near Neptune. They sent a false distress signal, pretending to be a peaceful alien vessel under attack. Lieutenant Mason Wu, a field officer from Earth's Lunar Guard, responded to the signal. He was known for one thing: never leaving anyone behind. When he got the call, he launched in a solo pod, fast and low. But as soon as he reached the coordinates, a gravity snare locked onto his pod. 10 Empire drones surrounded him and fired stun rounds. He was hit, knocked out, and taken. When Mason opened his eyes, he wasn't in space anymore. He was in a dark cell, cold and quiet, metal walls, chains, and a thick red light glowing above. A tall alien stepped forward, armored in dark purple. His face was pale, his eyes narrow and cruel. "Welcome, human," the alien said. "I am Commander Rether. You will answer my questions." Mason looked up slowly, eyes calm but sharp. "You could have just asked nicely," he said. Rether frowned. "We don't ask nicely." They beat him, not to kill but to break. They used pain gas, shock cuffs, even mental probes, but Mason didn't scream. He didn't beg. He smiled. When they asked for Earth's military plans, he said, "Yeah, sure. I'll draw you a map of your own grave." They didn't understand. Every other species gave in. The Empire ruled through fear, pain, and silence. But this human, this one man, just kept laughing. "You think pain scares us?" he said once, blood on his lips. "We come from a planet with hurricanes, volcanoes, and Mondays." The guards grew nervous. Even Rether stopped enjoying the torture. In a nearby slave bay, alien workers from conquered planets overheard Mason's defiance. One tall alien woman whispered, "He's not afraid," another added. "They say he's from Earth, the planet that beat the Empire at Titan." Hope began to spread in the prison halls. A single human, laughing in chains one day. A young slave boy from a bug-like species snuck into the hallway. He slipped Mason a dry piece of bread and some water. "They say you're strong," the boy whispered. "My people, we used to be strong too." Mason looked at him, his lips split and eyes swollen. "Then be strong again," he said softly. "All it takes is one person to stand." Word traveled fast. More prisoners came to watch Mason from behind the bars. Each day he was dragged out, hurt, and thrown back in. And each day he still smiled. He became a symbol, not just a prisoner, but a spark. And the Empire didn't see it until it was too late one night. Alarms rang through the prison station. Sirens blared, lights blinked, doors jammed. Rether rushed to the control room, shouting, "What's happening?" "Rebellion." Someone shouted, "The slaves, they've taken the lower levels." Rether froze. "How?" The officer looked at him and whispered, "The human." They followed him. Inside the prison, Mason stood in a hallway. His chains were broken, his uniform torn. But behind him stood dozens of aliens, once slaves, now soldiers. They had taken weapons, shields, anything they could carry. Mason looked at them all and raised his fist. "You don't need to be human to fight like one," he said. "You just need to know what freedom tastes like." They roared, the Empire tried to shut it down. They sent kill teams, gas, shockwaves, but the rebels had already stolen a shuttle, and Mason, he was flying it. The shuttle blasted out of the prison station, flew past the guard ships, and vanished into the rings of Saturn. Back on Earth, Captain Elijah received a signal, a rough, broken transmission filled with static. "Trent, this is Mason. I'm coming home." The room erupted with cheers. Eva smiled through the screen. "Another surprise for the Empire," she said, and somewhere in deep space, a prison once ruled by fear now carried graffiti on its wall, written in over a dozen alien languages, but meaning only one thing. Freedom started with a laugh. The Empire starts to fracture. The Empire was no longer silent. Now it trembled. What began as a small rebellion in a prison station near Saturn had spread, not just to nearby systems, but across dozens of star sectors. Aliens who had once served the Empire in silence were now speaking. Some whispered, some shouted, but all of them repeated the same word: human. Because the story of Lieutenant Mason Wu, the captured soldier who smiled through pain, had reached every slave world. They called him the Unbroken. His message was simple: stand up now. Across mining colonies, work camps, and deep space factories, slaves began to rise. The Empire didn't understand it. How can one human cause this much damage? Admiral Varnock asked in disbelief. His advisors tried to explain. They see humans as hope, sir. And hope spreads faster than fear in the system of Jareen 5. The Empire lost control of a fuel refinery. A group of insectoid workers took over, painting a crude human face on the wall. They renamed the station Freepoint. When asked what they wanted, they simply said, to live without chains in the wealthy city world of Kellyan. Even Imperial officers began asking questions. One lieutenant, a blue-skinned noble, turned off a public punishment broadcast and asked, "Is this still justice or just cruelty?" Whispers turned to arguments, arguments turned to division, and division turned into desertion. Entire Empire fleets went dark. Some commanders refused orders, others just vanished. Back on Earth, Captain Elijah watched all of it from Vault 9. His team read the reports one by one. "The Empire's bleeding, sir," said Lieutenant Kimura. "But it's not dead yet." Elijah nodded slowly. "That's because we haven't landed the final blow." He turned to Eva. The AI projected in the room. "Are the rebels organized?" he asked. Eva's eyes glowed softly. "They follow. No one leader, but they all follow the story of your soldier. They ask for guidance." "And weapons," Elijah smiled. "Then it's time Earth sends both." Operation Starlight began. Human stealth ships moved through wormholes. They carried engineers, doctors, and small teams of special forces. But most importantly, they carried blueprints. Blueprints for defense, for communication, for freedom. Earth wasn't trying to rule the galaxy. It was trying to teach it something no empire ever had: how to stand up for yourself. Soon, rebel signals started appearing in Empire-controlled sectors. Graffiti showed a human hand breaking chains. And across captured communication towers, a voice spoke. "This is Earth. We are not your rulers. We are your mirror. You are not weak. You are not forgotten. You are not slaves. You are free." Admiral Varnock watched his empire fall apart one broadcast at a time. "Shut those signals down," he screamed. "Destroy the planets that play them." But it didn't work. For every tower they destroyed, two more appeared. They weren't fighting an army, they were fighting an idea, and that idea had a name: humanity. Inside the Empire's political halls, things got worse. Senators argued, blaming each other for not acting sooner. One noble house withdrew its fleet and called for peace talks. Others feared being seen as weak and doubled their attacks, creating more rebels. Some soldiers even switched sides mid-battle. One famous cruiser, the glory of Transek, turned on its own escort ships. The captain said only one thing before he defected: "I saw Earth's fire. And I realized we've been serving shadows." Back on Earth, even Elijah was surprised by how fast things were spreading. "We never fired on their homeworlds," he said. "We just gave their people a reason to hope." Eva smiled. "That is a weapon the Empire never expected." Meanwhile, Mason Wu, the Unbroken, had returned to Earth, but he didn't rest. He visited the refugee zones, shook hands with aliens who once feared humans. He told his story over and over, how he was chained, beaten, and laughed anyway. One day, a young alien girl, her skin silver and her eyes wide, approached him. "Were you scared?" she asked softly. Mason knelt down. "Yes," he said, "but I never let fear become my master." The girl nodded, then raised her head and said, "Then I won't either." And just like that, the fire spread again. The Empire had weapons, ships, soldiers, and fear. But Earth had something stronger: belief, and belief, once planted, grew wild. Humans just laughed. The stars had never been so quiet, and silence in space was never a good sign. The Galactic Empire was dying, not from lasers, not from bombs, but from within. Rebellions raged across star systems. Fleet commanders had disappeared. Slave worlds had renamed themselves, and the word Earth had become a symbol, not a place. But the Empire wasn't finished. Not yet. Admiral Varnuk, wounded and desperate, gathered what was left of his once mighty forces. He ordered all ships, every war cruiser, every dreadnought, every orbital weapon to meet at Sector Zero, the center of their power, the beating heart of what was left. "If Earth wants war," he growled, "then we will give them the final war. One strike, one moment, and we erase them." Their plan was simple: send a planet breaker, a weapon that could destroy Earth in a single blow. A sphere of collapsing gravity, hidden inside a stealth shell. One shot, one world gone. But Earth had already seen the stars go dark, and it was watching. Inside Vault 9, Captain Elijah Trent stood before the last screen. Reports flashed in. The Empire was gathering. Their final weapon was moving. They were coming fast. Elijah didn't panic. He nodded. "It's time," he said. "Let's make them remember." From deep within Earth's orbit, the Revenant emerged again, but it wasn't alone. Behind it came 30 other ships, some small, some strange, each one different. Each one built by former slaves, rebels, and defectors. This wasn't just Earth's army anymore. This was a galactic alliance formed not by treaties, but by courage. They called it the Unity Fleet, and it was heading straight for Sector Zero. In the darkness beyond the Empire's throne world, the two forces met. The Empire's ships were bigger, louder, older, but the Unity Fleet moved like wind and thunder, fast, sharp, unpredictable. The battle began, and space lit up with fire. Empire ships fired everything: plasma storms, EMP waves, spike mines. But Earth's fleet had Eva, and Eva had learned. Every weapon they had seen before was now useless. She shut down entire cruisers by rewriting their navigation. She turned enemy fire back on their own dreadnoughts, and through it, all humans laughed. Inside one Earth ship, a pilot shouted as they dodged a blast, "You missed, Toaster Face." Another yelled back, "That one's for pizza night on Mars." Their voices were fearless, and every alien soldier in the Unity Fleet drew strength from that laughter. The Empire launched its secret weapon, the Planet Breaker Sphere. It moved silently, too fast for most sensors, but Eva saw it, and so did Elijah. "There it is," he said. "Final trick." The Revenant didn't hesitate. It dove straight toward the sphere. Inside, Eva transferred all her processing power into the weapons shell. She wasn't trying to destroy it, she was trying to talk to it. The Empire's weapon AI responded. Identify. Ava replied calmly. I am freedom. The sphere paused, slowed, then, without warning, it changed direction. It turned around and flew straight into the Empire's flagship. Admiral Varnock didn't have time to scream. The explosion shattered the skies of Sector 0. The Empire's command center was gone. The remaining Empire ships stopped firing. Some powered down, others opened channels. We surrender, a voice said. It was over. The battle ended not with a scream, but with silence, and then laughter, across the fleet, across Earth, across 1,000 worlds. People laughed, not because it was funny, but because they had survived in. The days that followed, the galaxy began to rebuild. Earth didn't demand gold, power, or territory. Instead, it sent engineers, medics, and translators. It helped former slaves build governments. It helped planets find their own voices again. One alien leader stood before a new council and said, the Empire ruled with fear, but Earth led with something stranger. They laughed in the face of doom, and we followed that laugh into freedom. Mason Wu became a symbol of resistance. Captain Elijah became a teacher, and Eva, now free from her warship, chose to help rebuild lost systems. The galaxy was still wild, still dangerous, but now it had one rule that everyone knew. If you see a human laugh, be very, very careful.